So for a call to order, if we can, just go around and introduce ourselves and everyone to each other monthly, maybe bi-monthly for the next maybe in September basis. So again, I'm Charles Hector, I'm chair of the CTE committee. I'm also the vice president of the Providence School.
Principal Providence Anita Bruno, 20-year union carpenter, founder and CEO of Rhode Island Elementary.
It's a parent of 4 kids in Providence schools. 2 of CTE, one at West Broadway, one at East Boston. Thank you for coming.
Jennifer Keys, parent of a daughter hospital, hospital parent ambassador, and I'm the school board policy advisor.
She had her school board question.
Okay, so we go into approval of the agenda, which one is brought to you more, rather than order, so some would say that's for a motion, second, any discussion on what we actually read in the agenda items or not. This is policy.
I think you were sorry.
I got some teams. No one else has policy committee.
No, it was just I had made copies of school.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's the first one. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing as no discussion on the agenda, all those approved, say aye.
Aye.
All those say no. Approval of minutes, or also motion. Motion, second. Any discussion? Discussion. Yeah. All those say no.
So lots of updates to share. I think we should acknowledge in the room that we've had some school board parents and students come forward about the cover of the CTA around some of the communication issues and sharing of that link. And a lot of those issues are in the process of being addressed. Some of the classrooms are moving over to central, which should ease a little bit of pressure on the CTA side, but there are concerns that remain about the sharing of that building between the covers and PCTA. And I just want to say for the committee that you should be assured that we are in discussion to figure out ways to better manage the sharing of that building. Julie may want to add some comments to that, but I know that was brought up very public in our community, and we take all of the concerns very seriously. We're looking at ways to make the schools better.
We had 2 parents meetings last week. Updated them, Travis came to school, met with some students. I think we're good at that.
Before we go on, does anyone else want to share anything else regarding that situation?
As was mentioned, we were appreciate parents and communities that advocate by the council for this. That's why we do this. Otherwise, we're people or community folks to have their issues addressed. I will come over to the next move on.
Yeah, I want to just share a few other updates. We are, believe it or not, already in the 8th grade recruiting season. So we've done one we are also going to be 3 days at Rhode Island Convention Center, November 14th to 16th, and there should be around, I think, 4,000 eighth graders from all over the district. Jennifer and I are on the governor's workforce for youth advisory, youth advisory committee, and I feel really good about that opportunity to show eighth graders around the state what we have to offer. That I hope that you all will stop by because that's an amazing experience, and we strategize with our industry partners of ways to identify these students that go over to electric code and love the virtual welder. We encourage them to come to our booth. The convention center is organized by industry cluster, which I like better than schools. So we don't have kids walking in, where's the PCK booth? What are you interested in? Go down that aisle, meet the industry players, meet the schools that are implementing. So that's big for us. Our applications are due in mid-January, so we kind of go fast and furious from now until the middle of January. We have that event, those events in November. We also have a parent night, if you want to share this with the community, on January 12th, where we're in the cafeteria of PCTA, just here to support families so they don't miss the deadlines, so they understand what's required of students to apply. As you all well know, we will get probably 800 to 900 applications from eighth graders from public schools, from private schools, from charter schools. We go out to everyone. So that's a big push for us. We're also working very closely to create out-of-school opportunities. We have our second Vote for Next Gen program starting this evening at New England Tech, where students from Mount Pleasant are exposed to 6 trains, and then we roll them into the application day in March. We already had a group from Central. The next cohort to go out at the end of the month, I'm really excited about. It's going to be a combination, and thank you really for making this change for us. We have a combination of students from Houston State and New Hampshire going on the next Vote for Next Gen, and then the fourth Vote for Next Gen will be JSEC starting in February. So that's one way to get students who are not in traditional CTE programs exposure to the opportunities we have. We have an evening program that is running at PCTA at night alongside actually the Governor's Academy, and that is an after-hours Gen Con program for students that are from Central and from A Venture. Last year, we started with a pretty big net of about 18 students. Only about 9 finished the entire program with 160 hours of training. Of that 9, 7 got invitations to join the shows a huge ratio. So we're continuing that program. We're looking to use our ESSER funds for other opportunities for students such as driver's ed, which becomes a barrier for students. We're talking to Rhode Island Hospitality about doing the program at night to get more kids into that industry, and with all of you around the table as well as other opportunities for students. We have 4 students at Electric Code doing a co-op program. We have another 16 students doing internships in the community at employers that we have worked with in the past. And we're really proud to say that the 6 students that are full-time at New England Tech in program majors are doing well. A few struggles here and there. There's been some transition and some growing pains as they go into college. But we have 2 students majoring in auto, 1 student majoring in HVAC, 2 students in ed tech, and 1 in respiratory tech. 3 students from PCTA in auto and HVAC have been our shining stars because they had the preparation in that major to be successful. But we're hoping that we can secure funding for next year to make sure that we have additional spots. So this is a full release program where students are leaving high school, have the opportunity to finish their entire first year of college while they're still seniors in high school.
Turns out it doesn't understand that you have to pay the seat, you have to pay the years to which you charge them.
Yeah, so New England Tech is honoring the rate that we pay CCRI for running school. So it's around $6,000 per student. That's estimated. So we'll be looking for funding sources for next year to have students. But we're off to a great start. Davies also has 6 or 8 students in the program, so we're the 2 pilot schools, but New England Tech would like to expand it. CCRI, but with a very career and tech focused, in that students have a major in one of the tech areas. We chose those four majors that I just listed. We are not limited by the tech to those majors, but it worked out well for this year. Next year we might, go into other majors at tech.
But we can start calling some of our federal funders, have conversations about where the funding is allowed. Because that's what
Yes, that would be great. That would be great. Because, and that number, might be something that sticks in people's heads. To sponsor a student is $6,000. Like sometimes that's, and then you do a dinner at the end, and there's a mentoring relationship between one of the partners and that student that they sponsor. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do. We just wanted to make sure that we do a proof of concept this year and see how it goes. So hopefully they will all be successful. A few of the students are having some struggles, but there's a really good advising system, and their counselors at the high school are supporting them, and it's a good college.
And I know that there are pieces of this information that before I go on, I want to recognize Mr. Stevens, who's on the board, who attended, and school board member for Kentucky, who's part of the CTE committee.
And Cindy Townsend was not there, right? She was information on the
I'd like to see if we can get that to us.
That's definitely a conversation.
And
Maybe they honor that same position.
And I know this information exists in the pockets, but do we have a concentrated one sheet of these are funds that will be discontinuing next year? Yeah, I think that would be very helpful. Not only myself, as many of them shown to the school board, and I can see that in the future, especially if we can compare that with if we lose those funds, if we lose them.
I'm sure you do already, but the data on whatever issues or whatever barriers to that successful level students, because then those are the barriers that the federal government should be addressing that is to punish. But for me, it's a punish, right? So it's on the preliminary attack. Usually it's on the and then that's where the funding is. So that's the thing we want to use it. And punish.
I'll confirm it with you. We want to do it as late as possible. I think it's 6 to 7:30. I'll confirm it. But no, that's fine. That's a night when parents can come in and ask questions if they, but it's also a night like we don't know how to get on the website and Google Forms like front. No, it's definitely not. But it's Tuesday is the night. It's the Tuesday of that week. It's the night Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's the night. I'm sorry. So it is a very, there will be teachers there. It will be our staff just with laptops helping families, answer questions. Last year, it ended up being a lot of charters parents that fed into the school choice fair and necessarily fed into one of the assemblies that we give, kind of looking for some last minute help. It is, if students don't apply on that deadline, it's almost like the CTE becomes. So we want to publicize the deadline and work with that.
I've already had 2 parents of charter schools come into the school looking for information. I attended an open house for one of the buildings. Brian House is partnered with the development community. And Foxborough was in North Club, and the contractor like East Construction, Connecticut general contractor, but they had a hiring on the spot interview process for all of the subcontractors. So that happens. So I got the contacts of a few of them, and they're interested in starting to get out to the school, starting to do like hands-on, building off short conference, that all of that kind of stuff. So, but I think the point of me bringing it up, it's a stuff So for you, the 12th graders are going to pay like that. But how do you get them to the 12th grade? Engage with the 8th grade to become CTE. So there is value for them to start to put money into our programs as well.
We forget to mention that we did a 6-session advanced manufacturing curriculum at this semester.
You guys
We have another one coming up.
6 visits.
Yes, 6
Exactly.
visits. Cheese whiz for welding and tin foil for sheet metal, and they made, they took balloons and they made little submarines, and then they
Oh,
put them on fire and see, saw how secure they were around the edges. I mean, it was great. Lily, where were those teachers from?
So, how we do the program is, yes, we have an anchor teacher from Goodman University. So they help, they're like the anchor, because just helps with the grant. But then we always put on ambassadors, so somebody that was from that field that day was there supporting the instruction, and just well someone to go to. But so the welding lesson, we made sure Allison Missoula was there. She's a welder in our weld school. And then sheet metal, we had somebody that was from sheet metal, somebody from, that type of trade. So yeah, those programs are over 100 elementary school visits this year, right? That's what I in Connecticut.
Apprenticeship week? Because they're focusing on youth and apprenticeship.
What is apprenticeship?
November 16th is women, and that's a Thursday, so it's that week.
Okay. Built into it.
Yeah, I think Wednesday is apprenticeship, representative Friday is for veterans,
Okay.
Thursday is for women. The whole week is dedicated this year to youth and apprenticeship.
Good to know.
For those of you that don't know, that's for apprenticeship.
Any other updates that I can share? Okay, I was going to show you all the interactive dashboards. But one other update is Councilwoman Harris came in for the welding shop, and that was a really exciting visit for her. She was there for the welder, and she had a really nice connection in the shop. It was really
You
great.
know who else is an electrical welder that people don't know? Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris.
Yes, she came. Yeah. It was the greatest visit. She was
She's gonna have to come to Project MFG.
She has, I invited her. Don't worry,
Okay,
I
good.
invited her, yeah.
Maybe she speaks.
What?
Maybe she'll be a speaker.
She would be a great speaker.
She would be a great
She was
speaker. She comes to
really-
the,
Yes.
she comes to our program.
She and Nate really connected too, Nate Hoffman. So I just want to show you this and get a little bit of your feedback on it. This is, I've been working with the data team for the last couple of weeks. So this is a data dashboard that we're putting together for CTE. And we haven't figured out all the different components, but we want to keep a running tally of how many kids. So this happens to be PCTA. It happens to be seniors. So like there's lots of different filters that you can put on it. I can show you. So this is the whole school system, so you can see all of the students by school. We've been tracking how many work-based learning hours. It's really early in the year. Most kids do their work-based learning hours during their senior year. But already, the kids that are in CTE across 4 grades have already done 24,000 work-based learning hours, which blew my mind. 132 of them have already exceeded 80. So this number pulls all the kids that have done 80. This shows you how many students are counted as chronically absent in this population. How many kids have their OSHA in this population, CPR, first aid, and then it shows you the credentials by program. These are not all industry credentials. I'm going to share that.
Did you say that's seniors?
This right now is whole district.
Oh, okay.
So this is 9 through 12. No, there's no way. Yeah, this is all graduation years, all schools, all programs. So I want to show you, I know you guys, most of you have seen this before, but this is how we track. data. The camera is not pointed to the student. No, I don't, because I have students, actual students.
Yeah,
Okay,
I see that.
all right, I just want to make sure. So this has students, obviously demographic information, just their ID, their first, last name, what program they're in, their status, their year of grad. If they are, we give them an employability rating, and we only allow students that are 4 or 5 to go to outside internships. Students that are below that can do internships within the building, and they have skills that they need to work on. These columns are about whether they're in the process in the queue for an internship. The columns that are blue here are where we track the work-based learning hours. On the tracker, you're only seeing column Q, but we track by the state categories of work-based learning. So we're tracking cumulative hours in each one of those 4 categories. School-based enterprise for Gen Con would be 0, but in a program like culinary or pastry where we have a restaurant, it would be, a couple hundred hours. So it really depends on the program. Apprenticeship only applies to programs in the construction area, soon to be in the teaching field. Then we track in the pink credentials that multiple programs use. So that's how we get that tally. And then I want you to just see where I think the meat of this is, and that's columns T through Z. So these are industry-specific credentials or milestones, right? Not every one of these is an industry credential. If it's in red, that means that RIDE requires it to be a completer in that program. So for Gen Con students, they have to get the OSHA 30, and then they have to be accepted to the apprenticeship. So that LIDA makes that decision at the end of their career. But then they have 5 other credentials or milestones that the students have to do while they are, in their high school career. Work zone safety, fire, the blueprint firehouse plan, blah blah blah. So Gen Con, I pulled up their tracker because they have the highest number of credentials. Part of it is that they filled up all 7 columns. They can't go higher than 7 because otherwise it would be out of control. So we say to every program, you must, between column T and Z, you must put the credentials that are required by RIDE, and then you can add what you consider your top 5 or 4 more, right? This is not a grade book, but we do need to track your outcome. So finally, after doing this for 3 years, someone in data, way smarter than me, has aggregated 24 sheets into one Power BI Excel spreadsheet and come up with the dashboard. So that's what we're looking at. Don't you think it's awesome, Craig?
I do.
Yes, this is Taylor from Craig's team that did this. So this is where the data is pulling from. It's not pulling out of Skyward, it's pulling out of these trackers. And then at the end of the year, we will be tracking whether the student completed by RIDE, and then in our language, whether they are gold, silver, or bronze. A student that is gold did something more than RIDE asked for. So at the end of the year, I started to bring the alumni in, but I have to go into 24 different programs. It's going to take me a couple weeks. We're going to give you the baseline information and, and then layer it on. So what percentage, we obviously want to see the percentage of kids that are bronze going down and silver and gold going up. So this feeds that.
Question. I guess we could do rough math, but what percentage of students that are CTE programs are chronically passing? And I guess how would that track? This could be also a question.
Well, this is why I'm showing it to you, because these are the queries. I wish Craig was still here, because that is what I asked. I'd love to see, nationally, we know that students in CTE have higher GPAs and higher graduation rates. That has been proven year after year after year. Is that true in Providence? What metrics can we show that if you're enrolled in a CTE program, versus the whole district, what is the comparison? Does that bear itself out in Providence? Does graduation rate, that's where this is headed. This is the first look. But what we could start to do at the end of the year is look at the seniors and just, start to make those comparisons. So we just started. This was a massive amount of work. But I hope
This is great, by the way.
people know, but it's work in progress.
gonna tell you, we have a data dashboard, so probably eventually you wanna use this data and drop it in there. The data dashboard has all the information by school, which tracks all of that matrix and all of those things too.
Yeah.
So you can look at each school. I know Judy's probably familiar with it, but we just rolled it out. So each principal looks at chronic absenteeism, where their
Every day,
students are on course for graduation, if not, or if they're in course recovery, any grades that they need to make up, really down on the MLO students. It's a very massive data dashboard. So maybe we can share that.
Yeah, no, I would love to, to lump this in. And what we're tracking are those work-based learning hours and the credentials. We thought about changing, we presented this to the instructors in the PD last week, and we thought about maybe some of this is driven by numbers like Gen Con has more kids than branch sharing, for example. So we might take a look at a percentage, like what percent of kids have completed their, so there's lots of things that we can do with this tracker to get the right data, but we don't want to track everything. We want to have some high level items that we're tracking.
Well, I think I might comment on policy. It's about attendance. And grades.
Yep.
So I'll go to that.
Instead of posting Skyward, how is
No, it does not. It does not. No, it pulls from these homemade trackers. So each program maintains a tracker. They happen to like to put the colors on so they can see the difference between the grades. It gives me a little bit of like, I need sunglasses for this. But so we have 24 of these. And the teachers, we set it up, we CTE set it up, and then the teachers go in on a quarterly basis and update it. And then the dashboard pulls from here, not Skyward.
Who's the intended audience for the dashboard?
That's a great question.
I would look like Rhode Island Department of Education
Yeah.
and to see why they need to be funding the CTE, right? And then why CTE credits are important. Just throwing it out there. That's what I would see the benefit of this.
I think you guys are as a board, as a board wanting a snapshot every time we have these meetings, wanting to see it. I think Rhode Island Department of Ed, after ESSER funds, like a potential funder, like why do we do what we do? If we can show the impact, on a program level, so I can go into any one of these drop downs and I can filter. But I feel like there's a lot of people that are asking me about outcomes, and I don't want to wait till the end of the year. And usually there's a year lag. Like I can give you real time data on what the impact is of our programs, rather than waiting that year lag.
I was just going to jump in, and this is all great stuff for grant opportunities as well. So I know us on UD's side of the house, we do a lot of looking at different grants that are out there, Department of Defense, what is out there for CTE programs in summary industrial base, not just EV. So this data is really good with all the different grant funding.
That would be good for us.
Yeah.
And then thinking about just not using everybody, but larger scale, rather than being a small state, and then the push for CTE and accreditation nationally right now, it could prove useful to other states or to the national apprenticeship as a whole, because it's easier to utilize because we have smaller number of national. If that makes sense, right? So then if they want to get funded or even hypothetically say, all right, so the general construction is the main area. What if they wanted to create more electricians right now because of the push for electric vehicle and climate change? So what can they do to put money into PCTA to help with the electrical program? And then because you have the data, it might be a way that emphasizes that. Look, we can track it, we can show you what's working well, it's not
I just wanted to see what was on there. I mean, the thing that I was going to say is that there's a lot of different ways to look at the data, right? But that's like this is sort of a snapshot in time, and then I like to look at dashboards that show progress over years or something like that too, right? So it's like, okay, so this is where we are right now, and
That's what we started to build. Like that's. Again, this was me literally going going back into past trackers and pulling. But like, this is just electrical, so that kind of stuff. And so the other tab is to try to get the patterns.
Because if we're showing momentum that's been built
Yes.
based on a lot of funding that may not be available in the future, showing that the impact is
Right.
over time and with momentum is it can be compelling
Yeah.
as far as getting new funding to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, like this is, this is 12 kids or 15 kids, so it doesn't show a whole lot. But if we had the past 5 years of graduate, I have the data from the past 3. We had some, pretty. We had a very difficult time in 21 and 22 getting students the work-based learning hours and credentials because of the pandemic. So, but this is comparing 23 to where kids are now, and then I can put in 22 and 21. So you're going to see some dramatic increase just because of the pandemic. But I think over time, when you have a couple hundred graduates each year, then that does matter, right? So this is the right direction. The number of kids that were bronze were cut in half, and the number of silvers, went by 2 kids. Gold went down. It looks dramatic because it was 2 kids out of 15. But when we have the whole class, we can start to see those trends. So the alumni tab is a whole different thing that's going to take some backfilling. But I'm thinking the same way you are. We want to show the momentum.
Yeah. Any other questions, feedback on that? Yeah, I think that this is very helpful to work on this. I think this will be very helpful in terms of this statement for funding advocacy, which is one A and B, what the students have to do going forward. Okay, now review of school policies, admissions, and work-based learning.
Admissions. So we didn't make any actual changes for what we're already doing for admissions. However, it just wasn't a school board policy before. So it's taking what we already do and putting it into words for the school board. With that being said, we have like an equitable and fair process for admissions, right? So you guys all know that PCTA is we don't let in as many people as apply. So we want to make sure that those seats are going to students who want to pursue those fields and those careers. That's why, as you can see, we put most of the points into guidance recommendations, interviews, and essays. So this policy just codifies the practices already in place and puts it into words.
And people have asked me what fair and equitable means. And I think, we have resisted the made suggestions to go to a lottery system. The reason for that, it may be equitable in the sense that everyone has an equal shot, but we feel very strongly that the programs that we offer and the funding behind them and the uniqueness of the program, that we need to identify students that want to pursue it and they can. So I just want to emphasize, to me, that's very equitable, that this is, and it's also re-emphasize grades in this process. So this is equitable in the sense that you don't have to come there as a straight A student, honorable student at an eighth grade. We're looking for students that want to pursue the fields that they're in. There's a lot of weight given to the counselors. There's also a lot of weight given to the instructors that they do personal interviews with all of the applicants for the programs. It's a pretty heavy time investment, but we feel that it's necessary to make sure that we have a match. And we have anecdotally seen the impact over the last 2 years. We've heard that from instructors that they see students that want to be at PCTA for the programs, not just that they want to be at PCTA for the programs.
And who probably conducts these interviews?
So what we did last year, which 2 years ago we had a full day PE, so we did it at PCTA in the field house. It was a lot of fun. We had like food set up, we had a full day. It also felt a little bit, inequitable for the students that didn't have transportation from their parents. So this past year, we went to every middle school and we set up Chromebooks around the auditorium, one for each program, and we just had a running Zoom, and the kids came up, interviewed, went back to class. So it really wasn't much time, but it felt more equitable because the students need to get transported. So the teachers were on Zoom. They did about a 10-minute interview with every student, and then the next student came up. The middle schools were awesome. I have to shout out our middle school friends because organizing that was pretty disruptive to their days and calling kids on loudspeaker, but we felt it was the best way to make sure that every student had a cool opportunity. And then if we couldn't we ran an after school day for pickup interviews for some of the students that couldn't make it on those days. Diverse, depending on the program, they are the teachers in that program. They're not as diverse as the student population. That's another area that we need to work on as we move forward.
Well, not even, well, yes, with the teachers, but maybe with the interview process, we could throw in maybe people that would want to volunteer for that specific process.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had people on our team that were bilingual. There was a language barrier, so if we did, address the language, but we don't have,
Like racial
products, we don't have the racial or gender diversity in the programs that we try for.
And these meetings normally take place, the interviews take place on the weekend after school.
These were during the school day, so we made appointments with each of the PBS middle schools, and then we opened for the charters. We did an afternoon in February where kids could come over to PCTA and cafeteria after that.
Have we considered having students that are currently going through programs, even on some of those interviews?
We didn't because we were worried about family relationships or whatever, cousins and siblings. Sorry.
You know, I had some teachers that wanted to have students, and I wasn't sure. I said, no, let's hold off until we figure that out. Because, I don't know who's who wants. I manage something this way. But I do try to bring 7th grade from each middle school. We did 2 years in a row.
Really good.
All the 7th graders that are interested in June, so that they can have a better choice in the 8th grade. It's just so expensive. I don't know if I'll have the funding for buses this year.
Now, there's also, there's some of these, is there like open, how can I say it? Is there like a way where some of these students that may be applying are interested to have sort of access to go to like 12 school or something, maybe on a Saturday? I'm trying to put more work in all this at the time.
I did get the tour in 7th grade.
Okay.
And then when they come to the 2 fairs, they see the building. But a true open house where all the shops are open at night is definitely something we'd like to do. it's just, you can't, there's so many, we want the teachers at school choice fairs, and they have a certain number of nights and they work, so it's.
Because you know, with me, I like to use my student experience. Being the youngest on the school, I use that all the time. One of the main things I was at Roger Williams, so I had the opportunity to talk PCTA to see who was actually there. Never got to see who was at classical. So I'm just like, hey, I want to go to Central. Or I ended up at Juanita Sanchez. So I think if we sort of sometimes, or maybe we can sort of look into it, I think that we don't already, have some students probably tour the school or at open hours where they're able to come and tour the school and look at it. I think it'd be interesting, and I think students will also be like interested in either really learn about what's going on. And we may get even more participation of students. But I know a lot of people from when I was in middle school wanted to go to PCTA, wanted to go to classical. So I know that that's just the thing, but educating wise, if we at least go and see what's there and what this is all about, I think that it would be even greater as it pertains to them understanding what the program is actually about when we go into the interview. So.
Maybe that could fall under the exploratory.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that we tried to do last year is we offered tours for the support staff at the middle schools and other schools. Because part of what we need to do is make sure that people know that we have really good programs in Mount Pleasant and Central and Hope. And so we couldn't get the kids to all of those buildings, although this year the redesigned schools are having open houses at night. And they've done a really great job showcasing the program. So we want to make sure that, we don't just reinforce that PCTA is the only option. So when kids came over, I was in the redesign event at Mount Pleasant and Hope and saw the arts and Hope and saw the robotics program. The teacher kind of like to get a different vision of the other schools. It's just hard. There's 2,000 kids in the 8th grade, and we're trying to give them as much as possible. Just, they all want to see everything. So,
Really quick, I have one more question. Shut my mouth. Can you, so say I'm in middle school and say I'm interested in applying to go to PCTA. Can you walk me through that process and how that would work?
So you're in middle school, you want to go to PCTA. You've seen us at any number of these events, maybe at the convention center, we came to your school, we're doing assemblies and programs. In the middle of January, there is a deadline to fill out a Google form. The Google form asks you to rank your 3 choices, 1, 2, 3. It asks you to write an essay about why you want to be in a CTE program, and then why you want to be in that number 1 CTE program. You need to score those 2 essays as well. Once you have applied, then we go to your middle school, probably 3 weeks later, do your interview, you get a score for that. Your guidance counselor writes a couple things about you. We don't overburden the guidance counselors are asked to fill out a Google form. We ask them, is Tyrell able to maintain the safety standards of our programs 1 to 5? Is he interested in the field that he said he was? And then a couple words to describe it. We don't ask the guidance counselors, they have a lot to do, so we ask them to give a rating. Then if you are, then we do a weighted lottery with the district. So let's say in cosmetology we have 100 students that apply, then we sort them by score, but we're looking at the balance of the building, right? And so we do what's called a weighted lottery to make sure that the incoming class matches the staffing and the support services of PCTA or a Bayside or whatever school. If you get in, then you have to accept your seat within a week. And then if you get in and accept your seat, we withdraw you from the school choice, the lottery process for the rest of the week.
Got it. And how would how do students be aware of that?
By email, and then they have a week, and if they don't reply, then we go to the guidance counselor and have them track it down.
Got it. Okay.
So, and if you don't get into your first choice, then someone on our team follows up and says, your second choice, if your first choice was cosmetology, your second choice was cosmetology, your third choice was cosmetology, they give us much to work with, right? And that was a lot. But if your second choice right, I mean, that's where they want to be, right? But like, if the student said, carpentry and then biomedical, we will say, look, carpentry's full. You can go to Juanita Sanchez, that was your second choice, it's a wonderful program. You will remain on the waiting list, so you're not giving up your seat on the waiting list to go to another school. You wanted pre-engineering at PCTA, Mount Pleasant, all of you across the district. We want all of you. We want you to find a home in one of our 24 programs. Some people say, nope, I only want to go to CTE. Nope, I only want this nursing program in Alvarez. And other kids are willing to look at their second or third choice. But if they do accept the seat, they are removing themselves from a lot of these programs.
How many students do you accept from other districts? That's CTE, so
Not many. We don't have CTA because we are full of Providence. So we don't want to give away a seat unless the student moves during their career, then they become an out-of-district student. The student moves from Providence to Coventry, then they would pay us tuition. At the other schools, I would say we probably have 10 to 12 total out-of-district students. A couple at AQ, a couple at Alvarez, they're scattered throughout the district. It has to be a RIDE-approved program, so even though we have excellent CTE pathways, if they don't have RIDE approval, we can't take it out of the district student tuition for that school. So,
And I was gonna say, that's another reason why, we're trying to do some innovative things, and I know right now, the miscommunication with newcomer doesn't look like that was an effective plan, but what we're trying to do is work with Red and her team and the redesign team to offer our children things that they are saying they want to do. And so we're also finding that like schools at home, my mom was there, my grandma was there, I want to go there, but you don't have the programming I want this type of program. So seeing what we can do, because we know with our chronic absentee really great rate, there's a reason kids aren't coming to school all the time. And so what is that? Talking to the families and finding out what's going on. It's more than just it's cold outside. It's some other bigger issues that we as educators need to take a look at and say, we're offering it for you, and you, and you, and you. You have to be more personalized in our academic choices. We're trying.
one, I know you said that last year, my boys were 10 and 11, so I missed last year. But last year you said you went to middle schools with computers. Did you offer or will you offer an in-person option for them to interview as well? Because some kids don't do Zoom.
we offered an afternoon from about 4 to 7 at CTA for students that were either absent or didn't want to participate in that online process.
My other thing that I was just going to say, I mean, obviously right now it's not an option, but a lot of going to the job or going to the school fairs, a lot of the work that we put in trying to get into middle schools in 8th grade and things like that don't necessarily go over as well with these graders. Like, they don't understand when you're coming in, you're talking about wellness. They don't fully grab that concept. Example being my son chose HVAC plumbing, and he got into HVAC plumbing. And after a few months, he decided he absolutely did not like HVAC plumbing. And he went to welding, which was a program he said in the beginning he knew absolutely nothing about. He loved it. But, looking into trying to get a couple CTEs that can fit together and putting them as almost like an elective in middle school, so like putting HVAC plumbing, putting cooking and something, putting these together, kind of introducing them to students for a couple weeks would really get them going. And then even when the program master is one of the best things I've ever seen, my son is in that program and he was like, he was like, I love this.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is in school on Tuesdays because everybody wants to do this. But even if we can, especially elementary school, get like after school programs into our schools that are teaching CTE things. I mean, we can even pull high schoolers to come down and volunteer or give them, some type of credit towards their whatever they need for schooling to teach younger kids, hey, this is what welding is, this is what electrical is, and all the CTEs are kind of growing up, learning a little bit more, so
well, we did electrical for a couple weeks like that. I kind of really liked that. And kind of,
That's a good idea. You could probably partner with like, rather than engine for like electrical stuff and, plumbing and welding pipe and stuff like that as well, right? Because they do all that,
willing to
and all the retired areas, they're always looking to get that, right? Because we're building a lot more, doing little stuff. You might be able to get some volunteers to come and try to do this stuff. That's a good idea.
Quick question. So are we here to approve these policies? Are we just reviewing them? Are we recommending to the board that they're approved?
How I establish policy aspects. We'll go to the policy committee for some policy. Yes, which I believe is and as you know, it goes to school board for 2 months. So we're getting first class and won't come back here for policy committee on Wednesday. And go back to the school board on 15th and finally the December.
So we have to approve it first before we put it up as.
Yes, yeah, it would be recommendation for
Just one change.
Yeah.
The guidance recommendation. But, there has to be the legal supervision contract. And so practice, so yeah, it would be.
Oh, yeah.
They'll Brett had mentioned how effective CTE is across the country, right, with students with better attendance, better grade across the country, schools are regional, at least in Mass, just really different speak to make it regional. So if the student isn't meeting the standard and criteria, all supports put in place, they get sent back to the feeder school, to the district, and the new student comes in. We need, I know regional as a whole state issue, that's not us now, but we need some sort of fair and equitable policy to help us with students that just, I've had 2 students for 6 months, started last year, they did not want CTE, their parents had offered them other programs, their parents wanted them in their school, took that long to move, and now it's too late to go see because they want to go to university. So we need something, obviously not this policy, we need something that is fair and equitable, and that we have students that are coming to school, and I know it's across the district, but 4 kids I can't find right now. And I can, in 9th grade, I can take 4 kids off the list.
So this is policy, this is plan.
And why would I again?
This is for application. This is, been in place, it's been, since before I got here. We made some tweaks to de-emphasize the grades. You know, we've changed some of the allocations.
How did you have freshmen that would have gone through this process that are now not? Right?
So they came through the process. They got to the school.
This process,
Yeah, they're not.
I think if they're not.
So I think that, you know, we're talking
Why not add it in this policy right now before it gets. That's the state law.
I don't think, I think legal needs that, and upper leadership too.
We remember they are in 8th grade, but,
You know, how many of us do exactly what
you know, sometimes.
but maybe being committed or having to sign a letter of commitment as well in all of these processes that they're gonna be engaged in the process, right? I mean, that would be like,
Decide.
yeah. But I mean, if they're not interested in that and they're not coming, you know, they need to meet the standard of CTE requirements. You know, you have a 1 year, like a 1 year probation, so that's
So the situations like this, I think about what is existing in other districts in terms of exit policies. Can we take some learning from that? What would we do in terms of an actual exit policy that doesn't interfere with state law, that's fair to students, that's fair to students and business? So those are, I think, the two starting points, which I think we could work together between now and the next meeting. I will put this in the capital as a policy, because I believe, yes, that is
There
a
is-
situation.
There's legislation that has been introduced, hasn't passed in the past couple of years, but the school choice legislation, where they could transfer to a different school if it's their choice, if there's opening.
Can't find the student.
But there's, no, but there's
That should be in the
there's a de facto thing to, because some cities were like, well, we don't want the bad kids. So they put in the language of that bill, an exit strategy. If the kid didn't do or meet so many, there was something in there that protected the school where the kid would have to go back to the school.
Like you give a certain amount of absences, a certain amount of days absence, or percentage absences.
And the language has to be legal because it has to say.
But it's just tricky, because right now we're talking about PCTA, and if this is a policy, this needs to go to all of our schools. And other schools are having the same issues as PCTA, so we need to keep that in mind when we make these overarching policies.
Can we make it a CTE thing?
Yeah.
I would say that, so our next meeting is scheduled for December 20th, which.
I thought we were doing,
Our next meeting will be in December, we might have to go and schedule that. That's the one that's at least on file probably. I know schedules change, we tried to really put our schedule for our events, we might have to change it. But my commitment to everyone here is for our next meeting, have the exit policy on the agenda. We'll work to get any research that we have, so if there's.
I don't wanna just, I'm not throwing any child out or.
You know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a separate policy.
Yeah, yes.
You know, getting in is one thing.
but they have to be hand in hand.
Yeah, they have
The child is accepting this
Yeah.
seat.
to.
Where it's like, I'm signing this contract, but I have to be in school the same days
This would be the perfect policy.
and have this GPA. So
I would also like the opportunity, since if this is creating, to talk about the equitable application process and figuring out what we can do to make sure that the people that interviewing with are equitable, and that there's language in there to make sure that, that Maggie said, thank you, about making sure that, that there's a space provided and really intentional thought about 4 to 7 on a one day. Is there other spots that we can offer, because kids do have anxiety, testing anxiety, and then if there is, then that 4 to 7, how can we make sure that it's successful? If their parents are working or, and they really want to interview, they might be a really good fit for it, but they might have testing anxiety, don't want to do it virtually, and maybe can't get there.
And just to be clear, at each school, we have our staff, so we did pull a few kids off and do our own interviews while we were there. You know, if a student really was uncomfortable on the Zoom interview, but, you know, we can codify that. We bring people like you to the school, so that if someone is there, wants to interview for construction, that is uncomfortable, they can interview with you.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
thinking
that's a
about
great idea.
how to put it in language in the policy. Since
That
we have an
alternatives
opportunity,
will
right,
be-
to do it right
Yeah,
now.
I think policy is very much strategically made, so I think if we change from, oh, it'll be these people interviewing to just like, or their designated or a volunteer, then it's open and they can do that within the policy.
But you can also think like creating a video, just like a platform handshake or something like that. There's 5 questions, they go through, they answer the questions on video, they can do it on their phone, most of them on their phone. And then, that's just another way to, you have to think about too, our students, we have to change at the time. They don't do face-to-face interviews and things like that, it's just not the way their world is.
And the language could maybe be represented in that way, right? By social media, sending in video, just like College Boundaries. You can send in admissions in different formats, right?
I'll play with the wording tomorrow and make it so that if we do make a change, it'll still be in this policy.
Yeah.
And to just state how this will go to the policy meeting tomorrow, if it was more time, I mean, not tomorrow, Wednesday, if it was time to make additional edits, plus in front of the school board, we have to, that's why, so we're talking about December, it being, so there's also time to make any additional tweaks or amendments.
next school board meeting?
November 15th. And the policy committee meeting, is at 5:30. She had it on the agenda.
This Wednesday?
This Wednesday, yeah. That's different subcommittee to look at this plus other additional items.
Is there any way to ask the policy committee to postpone these until after we change them and went over them and agree that this is what we want to submit to policy?
I'm on the policy committee, and I would say that for a lot of these policy committees, since it's already such a drawn out process, it's not for 2 meetings, we just like to, make kind of suggestions. So the policy committee would more so a workshop and hearing feedbacks and bringing it, and also bring it to the school board for any additional feedback. So between that was November 1st, is that Wednesday? To December, whatever that school board meeting.
Yeah, but just knowing that as a committee, we can't approve, I mean, we could.
We get a second read, right? We get a second read too, right? We get a second read too, right? After policy committee.
Because it can't be submitted to the policy committee as approved by the CTE committee until, right?
Is there, let me hear more about the, let me hear more about this committee amendments we feel that we need to add here. Because this is already in place, right? We're looking to sort of codify,
Yes,
this agenda, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can spend time to workshop it in terms of what language we want to go on to. What section we want to.
I think the decision point is whether the admissions policy and gender point is hand in hand with the exit policy, right?
Well, we had a couple suggestions, so I think she was gonna kind of play with the language and then send it back to us so we can see.
Oh, okay.
What we
On interviews
agree
and
with.
things like that.
Yeah,
But it is very much a living document until it goes through that final.
yeah.
To the school, not to the policy. To the school board, like even after the school board first read, we can still play with it, like until that final.
Yeah,
But there's still, even
Yeah.
if it goes to policy, it goes to school board, there's still time to change it.
and we can take any suggestions via email to on this stuff.
I was just gonna say, if you want to either, I can give you my email, you can give me mine, I can actually give you the Google Doc, so you can comment right on that Google Doc. That'd be helpful.
I still, well, there's enough of us here, but me personally, I can't vote on it that I would want it to go to policy until we solidify what we want to do.
Yeah, so I'm happy to workshop some of. So what are some of the items that you have for the admissions?
That have to go into the interviewing process and then added in, Maggie's language, a variety of application, interview processes.
So
Styles, like either submission to video, but then again, that still has to be, that's gonna take time, it's not what we can do right now, because Brian and Judy have to decide what other kind of submissions can they accept, right? And who, like those kind of things, so.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna look at submitting videos and that kind of stuff, the platform plan, who's gonna send, who do they send those to, the videos, like all that stuff, when they just apply for college and they have those platforms in colleges, they're all secure. You know what I mean? I think that's, I'm not against it, I just don't know.
So just thinking, if this is limited as it is right now, what's the rush?
no, well, it's already.
January.
Yeah, it's already in policy. Yeah, I would say, and there's also an aspect of, I think we might be talking a little bit more about how we implement the interview process. I think I am open to language in terms of how can the interview be conducted, right? That's the goal of it. So.
The language is very broad anyways, very vague anyways. It
It is
doesn't
very
say
vague.
that they have to interview via Zoom, via in person. It just says they have to be required to interview for the first choice program.
Mhm.
So,
And it could be in a language which can be conducted online, or
policies where it's like, for example, this could be, so that if they're not buying to it, it does give those examples in there.
But then we just said, put out like a bullet point of like different types of interview styles.
Under section three.
But I would also put different types of interview styles dependent on,
Students' requirements.
not just student requirements, but, no, taking into consideration what Julie just said too about, what they have the capacity to do. Right? Within reason, maybe, or within capacity, within something.
Can that be something that's like kind of under like the guidance recommendations? Because if it's their eighth grade guidance counselor that's doing the suggestions, they're gonna know the student best to see what way to ask them to do. So if it's something that the guidance counselor has to like submit a video for them or record them,
But
can the guidance counselor interview them?
is that,
Can the guidance counselor interview them? Or does it have to be
We
something?
want to get away from internal, any kind of biases, even because not everybody works well with their guidance counsel, not every guidance counsel cares about the kids, not, not everyone is.
Because it doesn't say it's an interview.
the CTE of that trade?
But it doesn't say that. We need the
Right, when you're saying,
right? And it could be student applicants for all programs may be required to interview for their first choice program. This can be accomplished in a variety of settings.
But it does
And
say,
settings could be video, settings could be in person. So, like I think we want to.
it does say if there are multiple interviewers, scores will be average. So if it's, let's just say a student is so nervous that they want their guidance counselor there, can their guidance counselor be part of the CTE team?
We didn't say no, we didn't do that, but we didn't say no to that. So if they sent in the video and one teacher watched it, I think the teachers are very compassionate and understanding, but there could be someone who's like, this kid, is so nervous, we'll give him a 0. I mean, that could happen. I know that doesn't, but, yeah, I kind of agree with Anita. I'd be more worried about, and we can say this to the counselors, like, you can't give every kid a 5 in terms of what is your understanding of Jennifer's passion for this particular field, right? If you say, just because they're a great kid doesn't mean that they necessarily want to be a carpenter, right?
Yeah.
So we know that there are students who apply because they like the building, and the guidance counselors might know that, but then when they're interviewing, they might give them a 5 because they know what a great kid they are. We want to
Or
make
the
sure
opposite,
that
they
they're
could be a
looking
pain in
at
the
the
butt,
fit.
but might really be good at that trait. You know what I mean?
So we like it to be an outside person, but
Do you have an idea of like majority of kids do Zoom or in person?
majority, because we're with them, we have them in the auditorium, and then we have all these stations set up. And I wouldn't have said this 5 years ago, but after the pandemic, most of them are pretty comfortable. I think more comfortable than they are in person sometimes. It's pretty intimidating to sit down with people at PCTA and see the adults. So I think we made it comfortable, but I think if the language said there are multiple.
So I think the students that would require that face-to-face one-on-one
The guidance
interview are the minority.
Yes, oh, for sure.
I think we interviewed every single student last year that applied. So, no
Somehow.
matter how they wanted to do it,
Yeah.
we covered all bases for all of our kids.
We need to make sure that there's minority interviewers. It has to be someone. And I know the CTE teachers are not very diverse across our state period. So we gotta figure out a way to get, trace people of color to help you with those interview process.
And you get to do every interview.
No, but I'll go get some volunteers. I got a lot of trace sisters in the field. I got, brothers and sisters in the field.
And I think there's an aspect where implementation, yes, we should focus on doing that and maybe make conversation if that works. The second aspect where we're on right now, in terms of language for interviews, we want to include flexibility in terms of, I just want to make sure we have that documented.
We want equitable interviewees and then the flexibility of interview process.
So we should make the equity office part of the process.
I was actually just, Carolina brought that up today, so I talked to the diversity team on who to send it to and plan to do that tomorrow.
But then bring in safety of students. So do we need to notify parents with the names of all the people that are not Providence Public School Department employees that are sitting on this interview team? Do you have an objection?
We have a volunteer policy for anyone who comes in contact with children, so they
Even
would
if
have
it's via Zoom,
via Zoom.
I don't have a policy for that, so.
We do have a policy on Zoom, it's just not anyone who can just see our students. So
Right, okay, so we would need to,
They have to go through the PTSD training to be, which is a one.
I don't know what the Zoom policy says.
I would recommend that you do the equity office, honestly. That's sort of involved. Because that's just a whole nother process that we're going to go through and train. We don't have time for that.
From my understanding from the state of Rhode Island, if you're a volunteer of the school, you just have to have the state one, not the national one. If you're employed by the school, then you have to get the national. And that's for Rhode Island state law because I had to get my to volunteer stuff that I do.
So PTSD has its own training, they can go to the police office.
No, absolutely, but no city can overrule the state's law. So that's the state as it stands right now.
And just back to the student policy aspect, we will add in language on an equitable process, interviewers, and I guess even language around online and in person. That would fit the concerns as possible. Any other concerns on the admissions policy? So I definitely want to make sure we pass it before the end of the year. Are we comfortable with this policy? I don't know if you can maybe even send over the amended language to this committee before the policy committee on Wednesday? Okay. All right. So a draft will be sent out tomorrow. We'll make sure that everyone is heard, but with that aspect, we're good with us moving forward with this committee. I mean, with this policy, with this policy, the policy committee. Yeah. Okay. Should we take an official vote? Probably. So can I get a motion to advance the CT motion to advance the CT admission policy with added language around equitable equity on interviews and process? There's a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Abstentions, motion passes. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure to have language tomorrow before the policy committee on Wednesday. Anyone here is also welcome to come to the policy committee meeting on Wednesday. If you want to just see how the process is, or so next language. Yeah.
It's gonna be a long one, I'll let you know.
I think sometimes you just gotta die out of it. It's like a sign for a reference, isn't it? I'm dating myself. Work-based learning.
This is pretty standard language for work-based learning programs across the state, in the different, categories that we talked about when we looked at the tracker. And then what we kind of have added is what, the expectations are on each of the parties, the students and the employers and the office. But most of this is taken directly from the Prepare RI's statewide language for how work-based learning hours are. So we've shared this with students, parents. This has been in place for several years, like the admissions policy has never been codified by the school board. But this is our policy, and you've had a chance to look at it in between meetings, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
And likewise, the student expectations, if we can bring that into, exit things.
Into the exit. Oh, when we get to the exit, yeah.
Obviously, a little change, but functionality, attendance,
I had a comment about the employer supervisor expectations. Is the third bullet point says place the student in a positive environment to allow people there. Or they to learn technical related skills and gain an understanding of the business as a whole. Like, that's kind of a soft. To me, it feels like a little bit soft as far as like a particular or specific. Guideline
the field,
Yeah.
it could be a little hostile in the construction industry. So reminding the employer that they're students, so making sure that they're in a positive environment, a healthy work environment.
Oh,
So don't be yelling at them all day.
yeah.
Don't be, you know what I mean?
That I get. I was just, I guess maybe I said say what I was.
Or maybe we're
getting
reading
at,
it.
the most I read, but you know, what's the does the employer need to have a should the employer be obligated to provide a specific um, learning plan that's part of the job? You know, not just that it's like this is just a learning opportunity, but like, this is actually specifically what this student is going to learn, so that there's more discipline around that. Students don't get into like the learning work-based learning situation where they're kind of like, oh, what do I do now? Or there's not really a specific program.
I think the database showed that they had on the dashboard, showed that they had the 4 or 5 points that they want them to hit for rides, expectations, and then the partner gives you 3 more, something like that, you would say?
Each internship would probably fall into one of those categories, because the outside internships fall into internship.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think the employer goes through a process to be vetted of what we have to say to them, what are we gonna have the child do?
Okay.
Yeah, we send out, so if you're an employer, we send you a Google form and we ask you what are the deliverables that the student will be engaged in. You know, I think that we want to be purposely vague, and I think to Anita's point, you know, there's real world, like it's not going to be necessarily as positive an environment in every location that we send students. We don't want students sent to like a back room to do something that's sort of isolated and repetitive task. So, you know, that I think is implied there. But I don't know that we can expect I think the second or the last part of the sentence is hard, gain an understanding of the business as a whole. Some people don't have time to do that mentoring. Some people do a lot of mentoring. I mean, we've had kids who have gotten to go to work sites and like it's very broad experience. And we've had other employers that, you know, haven't been able to provide that experience either because of their size or their capacity. So we do ask the employer to say what the goals are and what the tasks are, but you know, it's very varied out in the field. And so a lot of this is, you know, we leave it vague because we have coordinators that determine whether this is a place we want our students to work.
As from the employer side, I had to say, you know, the student will bring up clients, sweep the floor, do the towels, things that students are allowed to do. So it's more the back end of the.
So I mean, all of that's happening. It's just not specifically in the policies. Or,
It's happening,
yeah.
but you know, it could be that we have to pull a student from an employer because it's not a positive experience.
Well,
We had a kid who was exposed to a lot of language that was,
Yeah.
you know, just like lunchtime stuff that just wasn't appropriate for a teenager to hear. And so, you know, we had to address that issue. So it's not a perfect process, but we do send out something, we ask, and then we ask the students how it's going. And I mean, it's our job to vet this, you know, we have tiny little employers and large companies, and we have to kind of monitor this.
I have an idea. I'll go to you.
So I have 2 questions. One is under where you are employer supervision. Students should never miss an academic class. Can that say shall, or is that the wrong place for shall? Right, if shall means should is vague. Is that, I mean, I'm just
How are they
asking.
not gonna miss an academic class if they're going to an internship?
Because they could be absent the next day because the intern people pay them and they'll tell the intern, I've seen it happen, they'll tell the internship people, well, I don't have.
So they can only miss a class if they go into an internship.
They can't miss,
They should
they
miss
cannot miss their academic days, which goes back to on the student expectations. I'd like to have in there, students must be on track for graduation. I don't know if we can do that, but I've had a couple kids that are failing all their academic classes.
So do the kids not go to internships during school hours anymore?
Yes, they go during their tech days. They have tech every other day.
But we don't want to get into the stickiness of,
I can't, I pull them from tech to make
I
their
know.
classes.
I know,
I have 2 senior.
but the trades is offered in the first place because kids that don't like traditional school, right? So if,
They have to graduate.
I know,
They have to graduate. I'm not gonna be.
But I think that, again,
It's not gonna keep me if my kids are graduating.
you saw on the
Right?
tracker that the admin had the right to hold them back.
It's hard to pull them back. It breaks my heart to pull them back because this is why why.
working with them,
Use Valentine's
What's
Day.
gonna do is right, it's how do we advocate to get the policies to change that could address and give them credit for what they're good at instead of taking credit for what they're bad at, but we're not.
They're still gonna pass it. No
I
matter,
just-
you know.
I-
So you want something under student expectations.
But I can't reach right
Remain on track to graduation. Maybe that's it.
Remain on track, yeah, I'm fine.
For graduation.
Because they wouldn't.
I think that's simple.
I would also suggest, I don't know if it goes into the language, but thinking about what you said, sir, what we do in the carpenter union, the apprentices, we have to fill out these papers about what we do every day. So I'll have a month sheet on it lines, and it'll say, today I insulated, I did top trap, I did cordwood, whatever skill I did that day. And that's supposed to be a way that the business agents can see that the apprentices are working on it 30% of the time. So that if you're sending a kid to do general construction, but all he's doing is sweeping the back, he's not really learning. But at least you'll have a technical, like a TA, right, about what they're doing every day. That might be good, and then the foreman or whoever's in charge of them just signs it at the end of the month, and then you'll have a list of exactly what skills they did. Then that might help you figure out, I don't know, sitting down maybe with CCRI on what can be credited. Because I know they're working on that right now, so about how CTE curriculum or CTE skills can be credited.
Yeah, we have that,
So-
but we do have that the employers will give weekly updates on how the students do.
No,
By
today I swept, today I cleaned, I don't know what to do, I'm not a baller. But the technical skills that it would take to be a baller, right? So then you would see those skills listed every day. Like I said, if they're insulating Monday from 4 to 6, I insulated. Tuesday, I learned how to cut on a chop saw. They're like,
Well, they do have, I'm sorry, to interrupt you, but they do have to write a reflection paper. If they're out on an internship, their PDA, their graduation requirement, they have to write a paper about their internship. So they're supposed to be doing that.
you're still not capturing all the technical things that they learn throughout the day that they
But
might not
that's
even know they're
that's
learning.
kind of varies field to field.
Yes,
So like in our
absolutely.
field, they're not allowed to touch a customer until they have 1,000 hours.
Yep.
So if she sends me a freshman, they can't touch a customer.
Yep.
Versus senior.
But you have a whole track of what they did every day, and those are all the technical skills that they're learning every day, and that gives you the data that you need to show why CTE is important. These are the skills that they're
Right,
learning
no,
on a
that's
day-to-day
the top of
basis.
three, is that we want to move this into a credit bearing opportunity. And we said in the policy that that would launch either in the fall of 25 or 26.
But that's how you capture it. Like an apprenticeship. And the students have to fill them out.
And I
It's a
think when we
daily
get
job
to that
that
credit
they do
bearing,
every day.
yes, oh, absolutely.
That's it.
I totally agree.
And then the supervisor, whoever's over, just signs it on a monthly basis, and then they should be handing it into their teacher. You should be able to see that signature on there that shows that task that they did on every day.
So they'd be placed in a course, then they'd have a teacher that gives them grades based on those reports. That's kind of what, that's what we're trying to capture here, where it says we'll collaborate with the counseling office.
Then it's not so much responsibility on the employer, thereby being like, oh, it's another burden, I gotta do more, maybe I don't wanna take the
I
interns.
really like the way you put it.
Yeah.
That. And that's the thing that I was trying to get at, is like the specificity of what they're actually learning.
What they did, exactly,
And there being some accountability.
We will get a subcommittee to develop that.
without putting responsibility on the
Without putting too much responsibility on the other part. But just a little bit.
Just a little bit, they gotta sign, overseeing, and I did this, yes.
Any other comments, suggestions on the policy? Just want to make sure. This is also another living, breathing document, and this policy will go through the same process as the admissions policy. And this was a policy committee meeting on Wednesday. Yeah, when we do that, amendments, edits.
Yeah, when I send the new draft tomorrow, I'll also send this back, so if you wanna go through it again and make those comments, you're welcome to do that.
Motion.
Second.
Second. This will be a motion to send this to policy committee meeting on Wednesday. Any discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstentions, motion passes. We are going to student survey, and I'd like to keep these meetings to an hour and 9 minutes. I know we are touching right on the 90-minute mark. So what I'm going to do is, I wish I had, I don't have internet, but I do have a draft of potential questions for students. I'm just gonna go through this. We're gonna send this out. I know we talked about a potential, student survey at some point. So obviously, name, personal details, but these are the questions that you have. How long have you been involved in the CTE program? Has you been less than a year or 4 years to document the wide spectrum of students? Why did you choose to join the CTE program? Options here, interest in the field, career opportunities, college preparation, recommendations from teachers and counselors, peer influence, leave space for other, for students to add in. These other questions, on a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with the CTE program? So it'd be a 1 to 5. We want feedback in terms of, we want to make sure we capture that. What aspects, and these are open-ended responses, what aspects of the CTE program do you find most beneficial? What challenges or obstacles have you faced in the CTE program? Next question, how well do you feel the CTE program is preparing you for your future career, future studies at the scale of 1 to 5? Would you recommend CTE program to other students? Why or why not? That's open-ended. What additional resources or support would help improve your experience in the CTE program? That would also be open-ended. How have your instructors in the CTE program impact your learning experience? It's from a metric from should be positive to should be negative. That could be a 1 to 5 metric as well. And just an open feedback or suggestions to improve the CTE program. So I know I have to verbalize that, and I couldn't just send it to you all in action. We'll make sure we send this to you for feedback. And what were some dates that we were maybe targeting, or the timeline we were maybe targeting for surveying students last time? Yeah.
We were talking about like.
Is it gonna be a
Late
mandatory
spring.
survey?
Good question. I don't know how much we can handle. Yeah.
Keep it out there in the advisory or something.
And I know we're trying to wrap up. Any other big questions that I missed? Anything we want to capture from students? This is and to remind everyone, this is to help us with that dashboard, all these conversations, implementing policies. I want to get to the point where we are starting to work on a long-term strategic plan for CTE committees in Providence, and be able to have funding, also look at what the future be, and having student impact is very important. And with that, I think it's going. So we'll make sure the survey gets sent out to this committee. If there's any suggestion, anything that you feel we can capture the students, let's do that. And really, yes.
I just have a quick question or thought. Would it be helpful to know when you're asking students if the CTE that they're in was their actual first choice?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I think that's what came out last time.
Sometimes the kids say, don't make the choices, the parents fill out the application so that they come to CTA.
I've never filled out anything for any.
Maybe that's a good first question, is they show
That's a
choice?
great note. We all have, but.
And I remember that coming up in our last meeting.
Or what would you have told them if this wasn't?
Yeah, that's a good question too. That's a great question.
And real quick, I know that we tried to schedule out all our meetings. It seems like December 20th might be a little difficult. I'm gonna toss out December 18th. It's a Monday. I think Monday has worked for folks around the same time, 5:30. Since I have you all here, it's easier than if we email and get a brief.
I'm fine with December 18th.
I do too.
At 5:30. It seems like we have our next meeting scheduled for December 18th. My promise to all of you is that we'll have exit interviews for this next agenda, along with other updates and aspects that will come to you now in December, but we'll have some research, maybe even a little bit of a draft proposal with, really, that's one.
Can we have some people?
Oh, who's
We
making
could, yeah, we could talk about
Oh,
line
that's
items.
And sure, I make mine own too. when possibilities, you know. That's how I'm
Yeah,
weird.
I'm gonna,
I'm like,
no, I'm gonna send it out, cause I have to change it in here.
can we, also, on the agenda, eventually want to start talking about graduation placement? For the high school, so those graduating from CTE, what are we doing to create a pipeline for them for graduation placement? I think that's huge, but I know Brett's been working on it, but she can't do it by herself, so since we got a committee, we should all be thinking about that.
And can I make a recommendation for the policy committee about Chromebooks? And something, I had to call 22 parents, I chose to call 22 parents, we've already issued second and third laptops, and it's October. Chromebooks, and it's October 3rd.
Sorry,
It's the same students?
Some students are on their third.
Why is that, Jim? That's offline.
See how
have the
marketplace.
Do you have the insurance?
She doesn't need to know the policy on that, no?
No. Yeah, but can't you offer insurance at least that it'll cover it?
Let me look it up, because I want to say we have them, but I don't know if you're doing it.
Okay.
Because I've read it somewhere.
Yeah, I
Is
have
it because the
to
Chromebooks
insurance
like
for my
not
son.
working or losing or they lose?
No, not in the third one.
No, that's like style one.
Give them to a sibling.
We got to talk about it. It's gotta be somewhere.
Well, that's why I started calling.
Somewhere down.
Yeah, no,
Someone else is like,
It's losing their laptop.
It's one thing, but.
Stop LoJack the
selling
laptop.
Chromebooks, what is going on? Yeah, I know, yeah. I was a student, I know.
See, it's issues like that, that's what it's gonna be on these school forums, but yeah, I think, we'll flag, we have 3 members of the board here, we'll talk about what it's. Before that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn, second, discussion, adjourning, opposed, no, next meeting, December 18th.
It sounded, I love it, I'll send it to you. Okay. It says that, the parents should realize.
Does it?
It says.
Yeah.
You're gonna be.
We just-
Yes.